All right, welcome back. This is MDawg, and we are going to do our final episode of our first trip to the Norwegian Sea. Let's go ahead and get that. Safe, I guess, is a possibility. Never know with sculpin. I just don't think we're probably catching fish at a high enough bite rate post update to realistically get either one of those in the amount of time we have left. But okay, so let's head out. We're just gonna go to the 41. Hopefully we'll get I don't know, anywhere between 150 200 silver, something like that would be our goal. We're up to 1371. So this is what happened. You may notice we are about, so at the end of last episode we had just hit level 15, right? So we're a little over a third into 15. What happened was I recorded about a 45 to 50 minute episode, and I've decided to can it. Nothing too exciting happened. Not that anything very exciting will happen this episode either, because things are a bit slower right now. But also, I just felt like, upon reflection, I spent way too much time responding to the chat, some of the messages on the second and third YouTube channel, YouTube episodes. What am I trying to say? The chat at the bottom of the episodes, the responses, the replies, the messages. And I just didn't I didn't love the amount of sort of detail I got into in terms of, I felt like I was just responding to what, the people had to say. There was a back and forth conversation. I mean, the comments are still there, and I'll kind of summarize what I talked about. I don't want to get bogged down into the depths of some of those conversations. It's not that anyone said anything wrong in those comments. Those are their opinions, and that's fine. I think I just want to be really sensitive to not getting into a position where I feel like I'm defending the game too much, or I mean, I don't mind sharing my opinion. I guess I just felt like I went on too long and got into the weeds too much. But to summarize what I was saying, and I'm just going to summarize it so that we can just move on. To summarize what I was saying was basically that if you play this game for a long time, you'll see that the game does go through changes. Not only new content coming out, but even just the ebb and flow. If you take a place like Volkov, for example, and you can do this with pretty much any map, but if you take Volkov, for example, you'll go through months of Volkov being a good place to troll or to fish in general. And you'll see a lot of people spending a decent amount of time there based on what level they are and what type of fishing they're into. But especially if they're into spin fishing, you'll see a lot of people spending a good bit of time there. And you can also go through weeks, if not sometimes, I don't know if I want to say months, but long periods of time where very rarely do you hear about people fishing at Volkov. So all I'm trying to say is there's an ebb and flow. Arguably, some maps are more consistent than others. I've always felt like, in my experience, Bear is so inconsistent. I can have like really good experiences there, and then I can just as often just really struggle to get on the fish. But if you've been playing the game for a long time, you start to see the ebb and flow over time. And so I think what that creates is you're less reactive when something feels like it's going through a drier spell, a certain map or type of fishing or whatever. It may frustrate you, and that's fine, that's fair. But there's also like the part of you that knows like, okay, well, part of why I love this game is that in a sense, it's part of the realism is that things change. And things aren't just like by the spreadsheet. There are other fishing games that you can have a much more casual time playing. And in a sense, you can kind of follow the spreadsheet if you are into like looking up guides and stuff. And you can pretty consistently, like you kind of know what you're going to do. Some of the enjoyment of this game is that there's much more mystery involved. And I think for a lot of us, that's one of the many reasons why we like Russian Fishing Force so much. And we think of it as being farther along the simulation versus like more of a casual or arcadey experience. So that's a sort of brief overview of some of the themes that I was talking about in the episode that's has gone into the can. I think the other point that I was trying to make, and I just maybe got distracted from it, is that clearly RF4 is not for everyone. I come from a background of really enjoying playing MMOs, almost like lifestyle games, where I just sort of am into one game, you know? And that's how RF4 feels to me. It's a very slow grind. It takes a long time to reach some of the goals that you might set for yourself in game. But for me, it's a lot of fun trying to get there. But I recognize like that's not for everyone. So it's okay if ultimately RF4 isn't for you. But I'd also would argue there's a lot of different ways you can play RF4. The problem is when we maybe have certain expectations or a desire to just like get to certain points in the game really quickly, that doesn't really line up well with the reality of what playing RF4 is like. It's a very slow, grindy game. I think it's a lot of fun. It's got great fishing mechanics, but it's important to just like be real about what kind of game experience it's like or what it is. So anyway, there's some summary, high level, hopefully not getting into the weeds, responses based on some of the messages that I was reading from a couple of people, especially going back and forth regarding the current state of RF4, I guess. One thing I would like to do, as we are now in our last 12 hours and 50 minutes of our first Norwegian Sea experience, assuming that we continue this experimental leveling guide, in the comments to this episode, I'd be really curious if anyone has any thoughts or even advice for this account, or especially more generalized, not just this account, but new players to RF4. Let's say they have saved up, you know, 1,400, 1,500 silver like we have. if you were starting over, if you were starting back at level 15 and you had, that amount of silver to spend, what would you prioritize spending the silver on? Probably not in this episode, but likely in the next one. We'll have to make some decisions about, because we're not going to come back and do our second Norwegian sea trip immediately. We're going to do some things like level up our bait harvesting. So, that sort of answers the question for me, at least. One of the things that I will do in this series, I believe, is focus some of that silver towards things like shovel, teapot, tea, and then all of the ingredients we need to pretty aggressively level up bait harvesting. Because the sooner I get to 60% bait harvesting, I think the more likely I will be to start thinking about that second trip out to the Norwegian Sea. And frankly, I've just really enjoyed fishing out here on this account, so I don't want to wait too long. So that's one thing I'll do. But in terms of equipment, I would love to hear any thoughts that you all have. Yeah, so anyway, because I think we already have a spinning rod that we can go like do some exploration at Belaya, see if anything fun's happening at Belaya. Clearly we need to get some feeder rods. The only question really in my mind is not what type of equipment we need, but which feeder rods are we going to get? How much do we want to spend towards feeder rods at this point? So anyway, would love to hear your thoughts. Even if you would go in a completely different direction, that's fine. Have we, yeah, we're not doing very well. But I figured this would happen. Just the temperatures are not great. It's very sunny. I also just think that there's not an obvious place to fish right now. We've got just under 11 hours. Fortunately, a lot of that's going to be overnight, and that's going to be really slow. It's all right. Overall, we've done pretty well, especially considering the timing of the patch that came out right in the middle of our Norwegian sea trip. This has really gotten bad, just in terms of bite rate. We're all cusk right here. Grats to Console Mac 1, reached level 13. We'll try the 03 for a minute. Maybe it'll pick up a little bit here just before overnight sets in. There we go. Maybe this will be a sign of a little better bite rate. It's probably another cusk though, right? Maybe not. Maybe not. Ooh, haddock. It's a decent one too. We are up 18.9. And that is, that's almost 13 and a half. I mean, we're one fish away from, sorry, 15 and a half level-wise, which is great. Much better. Almost 1,000 XP for that little whiting. All right, that's over 15 and a half. What a trip it's been overall, right? By the way, how much does it cost to come here silver-wise? $13.95? We're pretty much going to break even if we had paid for it in silver. It's interesting. Yeah, we got a little bit of overcast clouds, partially overcast, and the temperature came down just a little bit as it got to be late afternoon. We did move spots, but I doubt that's a whole lot of having a whole lot to do with it. But it's definitely gotten a little better. Whatever this is, I'd say we're going to be a good bit past 15 and a half by the end of our trip here. Assuming we still catch a few more fish. Oh, nice cusk. Holy cow, that's the biggest fish we've ever caught. Strongest fish we've ever caught. That's a big cusk. 10.6. We're up to 19% marine fishing. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. for how much fish that was, Cusk are not worth a lot of XP, but they're really decent silver. Oh, fake bite. That was a little mackerel. Almost guarantee you. Slid on and slid right off. Oh, love to see it. Nice little place. Yeah, if nothing else, and I will see if I can be this patient, but before we take our second trip out here, if nothing else, I'd love to be able to cut up the little safe and stuff you catch, just to continue to level our bait harvesting, but that does mean to get to 60%. Which is, will take some time and is pretty pricey. Cusk. Which means we're gonna do decent. We'll make a few bucks. Nice trophy Cusk, Patfish. Ooh, level 42. I don't know what we should change to, but I have a feeling we should change for overnight on our lure. Maybe just back to the 01, actually. It's not midnight yet, so we're going to hold out hope that we can get another bite on this one. That took a while, didn't it? I can be patient though, because I feel like we've already done better than I was expecting to in this last little session. Hey, safe is the place. I'm gonna put the put the 01 back on. We'll see. How much time do we have? 5 hours? Imagine if I had waited and started this episode at like 4 a.m. instead of when I did. We probably could have done a little better. Alright, what do we want this to be? Mackerel instead of saithe, if those are the choices. Haddock is whatever. How small was that? 200 grams? I guess we wanted that to be a whiting. Actually, we wanted that to be an oyster. We wanted that to be an Icelandic scallop. We wanted that to be a squid. We wanted that to be a Donit's ruff. I'll figure it out eventually. Can we just get 1 or 2 more fish to bite? Well, that big cusk and that medium-sized haddock definitely pushed us farther towards 16 than I was expecting. I think we're going to end up with about 1,500 silver walking away from this place. Is there a camp? Oh, yeah, it's over here, right? So we can't get to it without a boat. And we're not going to have a boat soon. Hey, that's nice. I'll take that. Overnight fish. Yeah. 19.1. That definitely helps. I'm impressed. Safe don't care that it's overnight. So this is where we ended up. It's been fine. This is great. I think we're one safe short of the cafe order. And this isn't big enough. It's a big deal if we hit the cafe order in terms of silver. It's a big deal. It's amazing how short the nights are on this map. I mean, technically it's still nighttime, but the sun's coming up. I don't know how that affects the fishing necessarily, but it's like not even 3 yet. Well, if it happens to be a safe, I think we did it. Probably not a safe, though. We'll see. Hopefully we'll see. Another record, big cusk. Big old cusk. Can we get one last fish? I don't want to take the time to switch lures. I think we just gotta hope it works out here. We're gonna be one short. Oh, it's brutal. It's 5. Something should hit it. Ah, it's not big enough. We won't be able to get the fish in, even if we did catch something here. Oh my goodness. I'm curious what this is going to do. I thought it was going to teleport us back like your boat ticket was over. I don't know if it's better for me to stay in the boat and head back to shore or respawn, but I thought you could go look at the cafe one last time. You're just not able to fish? And I don't want to try to fish until we've had a chance to sell our fish. So it seems like it would let you extend the trip and you just stay out on the water. It's kind of interesting. Nothing like trying to park the boat. Okay. So, again, I don't know if there's a timer here. Yeah, we were just one safe away from getting 108 silver. Man, that's just too bad. Alright. Well, let's see how we did on this last part of our trip. Oh, almost 200 silver again. That seems to be like on these little short things where I'm fishing for 30, 45 minutes. We're getting about 200 silver. You know, in pre-patch, it was probably about 300 silver. I mean, it's definitely not quite as good, but it's still good. So that's 1563. So really, that's 15 63 minus 50. So 15, 13, 85 or whatever. So 15, 13, 85. You know, 150 silver above the silver cost. But again, if you're paying silver for this trip, then you're not doing the trip to make silver. I mean, you're doing the trip for fun, to level up your marine fishing, to test out the equipment and stuff. All right. So, before we wrap it up, what am I looking for? I know we want to get the shovel, which is 44 silver. And we want to get the tea kettle, which is 23 silver. So let's go ahead and put our shovel in the number 4 slot, because that's what I'm used to. Oh, and you can't even shovel here. That's awesome. Not only can you not fish, you can't shovel. Okay. So we have the shovel and tea kettle, so we can make tea. And let's look in the tackle store real quick before we wrap this one up, because again, if you have thoughts, advice, we're now just under 1,500 silver. What do we get? All right. So some of my thoughts would be, you could just get 2 of these. Now that's spending a lot of the silver, honestly. But this is a good deal. You're getting a little bit of a break on the cost of all this by purchasing it as a kit. Alternatively, you could get 3 of these. It's a lot less silver. Technically, it's enough strength that we could fish for some things. I don't know. This is what comes in that. Is that right? No, Sputnik Pro 4000. I mean, that's a 379 silver reel just in and of itself. It's got a nice max drag. Again, we're just getting a little bit of a discount in the kit. You know, I don't know that I would choose that. But if you look at these come with, you know, Lacertes. You technically can upgrade the max drag a little bit. They're not bad reels. Again, we could bream fish with these. It's going to be a lot less efficient at times. We certainly can't fish for anything heavier than bream, but they're nice little reels. It's not a bad option. Save the silver. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe more than we need for what we're kind of thinking we're going to do with it, but I will tell you this. I bet that fluorocarbon leaders, so we want feeder, fluorocarbon, probably just the cheap ones. I actually think we should go ahead and get a set of, definitely a set of these. I'm just not sure they're in stock anywhere where we can go. Why not take advantage of them being in stock. So so let's look at this. I'm leaning towards getting the starter. So what's 6 kilo load capacity. So we could put, I mean, it comes with 4.8 line, and that's fine. So I guess what we're saying is feeder leaders. Do we want to go 4.4 or 5.4? 4.4 or 5.4? 5.4 is cheaper, but we really aren't gonna. 4.4 makes more sense, right? 4.4 makes more sense. Now, if we go to line, let's say we eventually buy thicker line. What does this come in? 5. So again, 4.4 would be good, even if we're using it on those starters. I think we do 4.4. Feeder leader, 4 carbon, 4.4. I'm doing times 3. Now, I think we also want all right, what line do they have on here right now? Why would they have 5.2 line? Anyway, so what do we want on here though? Probably about 4 would be the maximum. So let's get classic leader, fluorocarbon. We want 3.2. All right, we'll do one of those. Wait, did that not happen? What just happened? Okay, yep, there it is. All right, there it is. Honestly, something like that is what we would want, 3.5 line. We've basically got 100 meters of line on there. It's not perfect, but, and we will get spooled at Belaya by some fish, but we can make adjustments down the line. It's at least a starting point. So we've kind of got that set up. We've got our leaders for our starting kits, if that's what I end up going with. I'm going to wait and kind of see next episode what people say, but that's what I'm leaning towards. We do have some lures. We have this Aquila, really nice Aquila lure. We've got a couple of dragon bells. Those are good. We can't use spoons yet. This Aquila is kind of the star of the show. That Heavens Creek Classic, Spin Shot. I mean, all these are worth trying, but this Aquila is really nice. I guess the other thing we could do, and I don't know if it's worth it, but like, what's the weekly? Is anything caught here on ultralight at Belaya right now? Like, what are we mostly wanting? Like, grayling would be ideal. So the Hornet 01. Like, what are the chances that the Hornet 01 is in stock anywhere that we can go? But do I really want to spend the silver, not knowing if we'll even spend a lot of time? That's 45 silver. It's a nice hook that comes on there as part of the reason. But remember, we're going to have a pretty high chance of getting spooled or snapping the leader. I just don't think I spend that silver on it. All right, so is there anything else stock-wise that's really important? What about baits? Probably not. We're going to be digging a lot. We'll eventually start getting some red worms. What else tends to be out of stock? Sometimes flies. We could do one thing of flies just for fun. None of this other stuff is so critical that if it was out of stock, we would, you know, just be paralyzed from being able to do other things. Yeah, I really don't think, can't really think of anything else. Mostly to me, it's the leaders and then sometimes gear, although I've never seen those kits out of stock. So by the time we're going to buy anything nice though, like we will have made more trips out here and we'll have opened up Volkov, so stock won't be an issue down the line. To me, this is like one of the things you really want to start saving for, but not yet. I mean, we don't have the tools or the ability yet to start saving aggressively for that. So yeah, there we go. You can't fish, you can't dig. I'm overall very pleased. We have how many skill points do we have? 14 skill points. Just under 1,500 silver, at least before we started spending. And we are, yeah, ready to transition. We'll be back to Norwegian before too long, but like I said, I kind of want to get into the groove a little bit, see how some of the lower level bodies of water and such are doing, and then we'll go from there. So let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.